Hello there. I'm delighted today to be joined by Gayle Audley for the next in our series of Winning Ways. Hello, Gayle.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello. Gayle, for those of you who don't know her, is an ex-professional tennis player and a professional tennis coach. But latterly and more recently, for a number of years now, has been an elite performance coach in the business arena, specifically focusing on estate agents and those in law firms. So we're delighted to have you join us at Agents Together. You've already done so much. You've got some mentees, you're a mentor for us, which we're very, very grateful for. But today, what we're going to speak about and hopefully give some people some great tips and ideas on as well is the link really between your physical state and your mental health. Because I think we know it's important. We talk about it a lot, as all of us are talking about it at the moment. But really, what does it mean and how can we be better? So could you tell me a little bit about the link, first of all, Gayle, perhaps?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today, and some very kind words. Thank you. Absolutely. I'm a big believer that there is a link between your physical state and your mental state. Your mind and body are connected. So effectively, the way you move can also affect the way that you think and feel. And this is so important now more than ever. It was important when I used to walk onto a tennis court, for example. If I walked onto a tennis court with sort of my head down and, feeling a bit sluggish, the opponent's going to pick up the vibe that actually she's not very confident. And I'm in with a chance here. So it's literally just about, as I said, you're getting your physical state right to then affect your mental state. And there are some things that I do and some things that I find have been tried and tested over time, really. Shall I share those with you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just before you do, I mean, I did a little bit of research before we came on this, because obviously we were slightly prepared. We're not just having a natter. And one of the things that I found out, and it was research done in the mental health space, was that it's kind of linked. Is that I'll just check because I don't want to get it wrong. 30% of people with long-term physical ill health had mental ill health. So scientifically, the research shows us that the two are linked. And now that's a longer term issue. And I know that's not really what we're talking about today. We're almost talking about our being present in ourselves, aren't we? And I know you're going to come on to that. But I think, as well as the usual stuff that we do at the moment, if you're watching this sort of as it's released, the gyms are closed. So it's not only what we're sort of doing day to day, but it's what we're doing for our futures as well, is my understanding of this. It's like lifestyle changes as much as like immediate changes. So yeah, tell us about some of the ways that we can be better at managing our physical state. I'd love to know, for one.
Well, certainly things that work for me, and obviously everybody listening, you've got to find out what works for you and what floats your boat, but things that have worked for me. So if I'm feeling a little bit stressed, just not quite in the zone, not quite with it, I love music. I'm a bit of a frustrated Spice Girl at heart, I think. So I put some dance tunes on, mum dance alert here coming on. But for me, the right music can energize your soul. So I think, putting some music on, having a sing song, whether it's in the car, whether you're listening to it on headphones, whether you're dancing around your kitchen, that really, really helps. I mean, a song can actually invoke all sorts of memories, can't it? Some could be sad, some could be happy. So make sure you're choosing the right music that's going to make you feel good.
It's such a great point, because it's very hard if you put more upbeat music on to not feel good, isn't it? I'm a massive, I have a car concert every time I go anywhere in the car, which isn't very often now, but I am the lead singer in that amazing concert, and it does uplift you. But likewise, it's not just that that sort of feeling physically, but I'm not a scientist, as many of you probably know, but actually it does release chemicals in your brain, doesn't it, that make you feel good.
These feel-good endorphins that we're trying to do. So everything I'm talking about here, the things that help me, and I hope they're the things that will help you, it's all about releasing those feel-good chemicals to help you. But you can only, but, you know, if we're all sat at our desks sort of 24/7, you've got to, as I said, physically change your state again for it to impact your mental state. So music is one. Another one, and again, thinking about sort of memories and feelings, is I've got two boys, and if they're not here with me, well, one of them doesn't live here, he lives in Liverpool, I'll look at a picture of them. So I'll pick up a picture and not just look at it, physically pick the picture up, and I'll remember where that picture was taken, and I'll think about the good times that we had on that particular day, and I'll think about the good times to come as well. So I think it's really important to have things to look forward to. You know, we put the news on, there's lots of doom and gloom. It's, you know, it's awful. And I know a lot of people say, no, I'm not listening to the news anymore, I'm not listening to it. You know, and I get that. But pick up a picture, pick up something that makes you feel good, and think about the good times to come, because, you know, I keep saying storms don't last forever. You know, we will be out of this at some point. So that's something else that I do. And it's quite personal to me, but picking up a picture of my two boys. The other thing that literally easiest thing to do is smile. So make a real conscious effort before you pick up the phone to speak to somebody, before you go on a video conference, even if you're walking down the street, or even if you're in the house on your own. You know, I mean, if I had a hidden camera here, they might think I'm a bit crazy, but sometimes just to smile. It's very difficult to feel sad and feel down when you've got a smile on your face. And, you know, I think it was Spike Milligan that said, smiling is infectious. You know, you catch it like the flu. When someone smiled at me today, I started smiling too. Perhaps flu not being the right idea. But you get where I mean. And it's difficult, you know, we've all got masks on, you know, so, but to really smile, you can see it in your eyes, can't you, if somebody's smiling, even if they're wearing a mask.
It's you make such a great point, and I don't know, there's a meme that does the rounds around the internet about Northerners going to London and saying hello to everybody and sort of smiling at people, and that is definitely me. I mean, I'm sure I come across as quite creepy at times, because I literally say hello to everyone, I smile at everyone, and but what you're saying is true. You know, one of the things that we used to do when we actually were allowed into state agency offices was actually get the team standing up on the phones when they were doing their prospecting call outs, like, you know, more having that energy in their physical state. As you've mentioned, it really crossed over then into their, in that case, productivity and the success of those calls that they were making. But likewise, that shows the impact that just changing your physical state can have on the outcome, whatever that may be. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, because I think music's huge, memories is a lovely one, and I've certainly been doing a lot of trips down memory lane with my weekly Zooms with my friends. We've been like sharing pictures of, you know, 10 years ago when we went on a girls' holiday and stuff, and it reminds you that, hey, we've had some great times and they will come back again. It's just a case of when, not if. And I think that's it. That's the thing that we keep remembering.
The hard thing for people at the minute is it's the time frame, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think initially when the first lockdown happened, you know, I think most people thought it was going to last a few weeks, you know, so of course the weather was better then as well. And then of course we're now on lockdown number 3, and there's no time frame. I think that's what's stressing people out. You know, if you've got a time frame on something, you say, right, this is all, you know, by 3 weeks next Wednesday, we're going to be out of this. People will start to feel better. So you've got to realise that at the minute, you know, nobody can put a time frame on things, because we just have to see how things go.
We can't at all, because none of us know, and it is all dependent on, you know, ultimately the case numbers and that sort of thing. But one thing that I've been really focusing on is, it sounds a bit crazy, but like the tiny little notion of the fact that every day it seems to be lighter at night for just an extra 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that, certainly for me, I'm feel very privileged to be working full time, and So therefore I need those nights to be able to get out and do some exercise and that sort of thing. So I'm like focused on that. And I keep thinking to myself, 6 weeks from now, we're going to have like, the nights are going to be light. We're going to, and that could be quite a positive, I think, for people to think about.
Thinking about what you have rather than what you don't have. So like you said, a little bit of light is thinking about what you have rather than, I'm missing that. We're all missing family, friends, loved ones, vacations, all those sorts of things. But think about what you do have rather than what you don't have. And kind of leading on from that a little bit, and I think that something that I've done recently, which really has helped me, is I've started to delete and unfollow certain accounts on social media, because I don't think they're good for our soul, some of them. I mean, we had a conversation off air, and it's not about deleting accounts that you don't agree with. Everybody's got the right to have their own opinions, etc. But if you've got what I call a toxic social media account that you're following, that every time you look at a picture or you read a post, it's sort of making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and not in a good way, get rid of it. You don't need that sort of, because there was a lot of doom and gloom out there, and there's a lot of people putting toxic things out there, and a lot of people putting fake things out there. That life is all wonderful.
I think you're absolutely right. I think like with everything in life, it's all about the delivery, isn't it? And I certainly feel acutely aware of, and really try my best. I'm not perfect. Try my best before I post anything, put anything out, to make sure that it's the delivery is right. But I have followed your advice, Gayle. I've deleted so many people. I enjoy seeing people with different opinions, because I think that gives me balance. But if they're aggressive in the way that they deliver that, or I see them aggressively targeting or commenting, you're gone from my life, because I can't. We have to have control. We have to control what we're consuming at the moment, don't we? Because ultimately affects our brains and what's going on in there. So I think that's a really important point for everybody to follow.
There's lots of things that we can't control at the minute, but there's lots of things that we can control. So take ownership of what you can control. And why are you following social media accounts that are just making you unhappy or making you feel angst and stressed? Get them out of your life. And the other, so dance tunes is one. Looking at a photo, looking at some positive memories, making a conscious effort to smile, deleting and following toxic media accounts. And the fifth one that really helps me is what I call, I've termed it the wellness walk. So, I mean, when you're out walking, you might just fancy just a normal walk, and that's absolutely fine. But what I would advise is to get into your routine. I call it a wellness walk. And all I mean by that is give yourself a set time, so maybe 30 minutes, but intersperse that 30 minutes with some power walking, or maybe even some mobility exercises. So, if you've got, I don't know, a park bench or a tree or a whatever, you could even kind of do some, hold that for balance and do some stretches and things in between it. But I was just sort of telling you off air, wasn't I? I went for a walk yesterday, and I really had a conscious effort to have a wellness walk. So I set off, and as soon as I set off from the house, I started to think, I tried to be really in the moment, not thinking about what I'm having for tea or what was happening tomorrow or whatever. Really think about the moment. I started with the top of my head, okay, and literally worked down my body. I felt that my fists were clenched as I was walking. I thought, gosh, I'm actually tenser than I thought. So just relax your hands, okay? Just have your hands sort of walking. I'm doing it now, walking by the side of you. And then, look up. It's really hard to feel down when you're looking up, if you like. So look around you, take in the scenery around you. Almost imagine you have like a helium balloon, sort of, if you like, attached to your spine, that's just pulling you sort of, towards your head. As I said before, we're all spending a lot of time hunched over our phones and computers. So actually we need to sort of pull our shoulders back, don't we? And just feel that our muscles loosen up and relax a little bit. And then, what I did yesterday is I walked for 2 minutes. Well, no, initially I walked for a minute, and then I did 30 minutes of power walking, okay? and then walked for 2 minutes, and then did a minute of power walking. And I did that for sort of 30 minutes. And you know what? By the end of it, I felt really energized. And all the time I was walking, Sarah, I was just trying to be in the moment.
Yeah.
So I wasn't on my phone in terms of doing a call. I know we've talked about that. I wasn't on the phone doing a call. I wasn't, as I said, thinking about the washing or the cooking or the cleaning or anything like that. I was just literally taking in my surroundings. And I came back last night. I've got a course I need to write this week. I made a start on that. I felt really energized. I made a couple of calls. One was business, one was sort of personal. I had a great rapport in both of those. You know, I cooked some tea, and me and my boy, we played darts last night. And it's like I suddenly had a bit of a lease of life, much more than I would have if I'd have just done a normal walk. Now, I'm not suggesting you would do this wellness walk, as I call it, every single time, but I certainly think you need to incorporate it into your routine.
I think it's, thank you for that, Gayle. I mean, I couldn't agree more. There's a couple of things that I want to pick up on what you've just said there. One is, you know, we've talked about this off air, but I'm sure many people are the same with the nights being a bit darker at the moment in sort of Jan, February. It has meant that I'm trying to fit everything into those light hours. So I'll go out for a walk, but I've got my headphones in, and as I'm sure hundreds of people are, and they're carrying on with like business whilst they're walking. Now that's great because I'm getting some exercise in, and I think that's really important for everybody to do. But the presenteeism, you know, that being present that you've just described, and that awareness of yourself, I think is so important. I think one of the things that you've said about your wellness walk is obviously that those bursts of energy in your sort of power walking, that's going to get your heart rate up, which is your physical state. It's brilliant for you, really, isn't it? And also I think being really conscious and aware of your breathing. If you're on the phone with your headphones in, you can't really do that because you're trying not to be out of breath. That's me anyway, when I'm on the phone to somebody. But actually we just don't realize, I'm sitting up now, but how sort of tight our bodies have got, and like you're right, hunched over. And
I was clenching my fists.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yes, it was cold. Yes, I had gloves on. But when I was sort of, as I say, start at the top of your body. Start with your hair. If you haven't got hair, think about the wind on your head, the wind on your face, you know, and literally work down your body, and almost just have an awareness that every part of your body needs to feel relaxed. As I say, I got to my hands, and they were clenched. And I realised that I was actually walking and I was being quite tense. So I just literally, you know, relax my fingers, relax my hands, made them feel a little bit heavy, but still sort of walking by my side. And by the end of that walk, you're right, I felt I'd done some exercise. It wasn't just a walk. And like you, I like to be kind of active. So it kind of meant something. But just to sort of be in that moment, you can't be in that moment if you're on the phone. You can't be in that moment if you just looking at the trees and the colours and the, you know, we live in such a beautiful sort of world, but sometimes because we're so busy rushing from A to B, we just don't stop.
Don't we?
You know, I mean, there are times, you know, like I say, I don't live in some fairy tale utopia. There are times when I've got my headphones in and I'm making those business calls. Well, that's fine, but if you're doing that every single time, it's perhaps not a healthy routine. It's perhaps not a healthy habit to be in. Whereas if you're interspersing it with the wellness walks, then, you know, overall you're going to be more rounded. You're going to get the benefits from it. And as I say, at the end of the day, it's all about releasing those feel-good chemicals to make sure that you have the best day possible. That what you're doing to your physical state is putting you in the best mental state so that you can then attack the day. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And the next video in the series actually is that we're going to do is about routine, isn't it? And about those habits. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Final point on this, last question really. I am guilty of this. Today I've got 9 Zooms. Okay. So
you're going to be very hunched up and very.
So there's a lot, by the way, loads of people doing exactly the same thing. Lots of people in sales roles or offering virtual viewings and all that. And you know, there's loads of people doing that, and they're moving from homeschooling computer to their own computer. And What tips have you got for the rare 10-15 minute gaps that myself and other people might have? What should I be doing in that time for my physical state to help, obviously, my mind?
Well, move, first of all. Get off your chair and move. Okay? If you've got stairs in your house, go up and down the stairs 10 times. You know, if you've got a garden or something like that, literally walk to the end of the garden and back. Okay. Do some sit-ups, do some star jumps, you know, the things that you don't need, you don't necessarily need exercise equipment, but I think it's giving yourself it's moving. And if you can, try and change your scenery. So the other thing, I mean, I live just outside York. I'm lucky, I've got a great outlook. And sometimes I just go and stand at the front window and I look out of the window.
Take it all in.
And my son says, "What are you looking at?" I'm not really looking at anything. I'm just being.
Just not looking at my computer.
Just being somewhere different can really help.
Great. Gayle, thank you so much. There's some really brilliant stuff in there, and we're delighted to have your insight and your input after all of your experience in both a professional sportswoman capacity, but also as a performance coach. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye for now.